Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Damn Parenting, your English speaking parenting podcast from the Netherlands. And as always, we are your hosts, Eva. And
Maren?
today we were just chattering there before we started recording. And we've seen a lot of chats on Facebooks and WhatsApps about a lot of similar kind of circumstances we've lived through, we go through still. And the topic that's risen recently was playdates and toddler sharing. I guess is the only way to put it.
Mm,
So someone was kind of talking about like, oh, I finally got this play date with this mom and, calendars is hard enough, trying to figure out a time and a place to meet someone. And if your kid's going to be woken up or your nap time aligns or whatever it is. So you have to wait for all those constellations to align to make that magical play date appear. And then you get to the play date and your kids just won't play with each other. In fact, your child just wants you. People are just so like torn, I guess, about like, oh, what do I do? And then you feel guilty that my child's not playing and they might be an only child. And so maybe they haven't learned because they don't have a sibling and all these stresses that are in it. I've lived through this. Maren, is this a normal for you?
yeah, I mean, Playdates is like a blessing and a curse, I'd say, because there is so much expectation always on it. And then when it doesn't happen, then there's so much frustration and disappointment. I mean, now with all the new places popping up in Amsterdam, which is great, and I'm so happy and thankful for all, yeah, the different locations that are cafes and like play areas and all that. So I'm very thankful for that. But then, yeah, the topic of play dates, of course, pops up more because, like, okay, I want to see these places. Let's go and look. And like you said, it's always so hard. So first of all, who do I go with? So do I like the parent? Do I like the child? Does my child like this other child? Then let's find a day, let's find a time. Then you finally do it, and then I feel or I've heard that people just like need to check their expectations. Like, what is my goal for this play date? And if I went in with the intention of, oh yes, I'm gonna have a great catch up with the mom, then I'd say in 99% of the cases that didn't happen because, like you said, play dates are mayhem, and you will either be very lucky that your child plays independently. They will very rarely play together. I think that also, of course, depends on the age. Then do I want to make this fun for my child, or do I just want to force my child the whole time to, we need to share, we need to play together, we need to share, because then they're gonna hate freaking play dates. It's gonna be like, no thanks. I need to just share my shit for 90 minutes. And you're not available, mama. So no.
For me, it was a case of like I spoke to a child psychologist, I guess she was. And we were chatting about like different kind of ways of children because the reality is a child, like when they're born, obviously they're not going to do much until they're like 6 to 9 months old when they're just sitting and a little bit of interaction. So there's massive stages in children's development. And so the thing I think I mentioned earlier was parallel play. And that's when children are actually playing like kind of beside each other, but they have no interaction. And
Yeah.
they said that that actually only begins at the age of 2. Usually, as I said, like if you have an only child, if you're meeting up with a friend who's the same age child constantly because you're not in daycare or whatever, then there might be a bit earlier shift in it or not. For my case, it wasn't that. So up until 2, yeah, they're independent islands, in the same room. And so the
Yeah.
parallel play is between 2 and 2.5. And then when they actually start playing together, that's actually then between the 2 and 3 year age group because that's dependent on how much they know the other person and they're comfortable with the other person. But it's exactly what you say. We make these play dates not just for the child to have social interaction, but God, we muck it for us. Like,
Yeah,
God, we need it.
exactly.
The coffee just to sit down and talk to another adult and just be like, are you going through this too? Or what's happening? And it's, yeah. And then there's that constant interjection of your child who just wants your attention. And it's like,
You know
mama.
what? I'm gonna be very honest. Sometimes, especially when we're having a hard time, we're going through a hard phase, I just also want to see that I'm not alone. And I also want to see that other people struggle and that other people have problems with their children, that other people have their stuff going on. And that's sometimes what I need to see when I meet up with a friend, when I'm so isolated in my own home, in my bubble. And then I think, oh my God, this is like just my situation. And then not that I wish this on the other person, but it's just such a huge relief when I see okay, they're also fighting about stuff. Their child also doesn't want to give up their toys. Their child also, they sometimes I also need to just see that. And I know I'm just gonna be very honest because yeah, that's what the chats are for, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to see that you're not alone in this whole shit show. Yeah. And
I,
then that makes me sometimes feel better, like, okay, everyone else was also struggling.
Yeah, and when you were talking about all the wonderful play areas that are actually opening up lately, that's actually one of the things I realized that I did attempt to have a play day with someone, I don't know when it was, a while ago, and I realized like, my child just wants me. There was no
Yeah.
interjection, and because especially if you go to a new place, it's so new and it's so amazing. Your child wants you to be there as a security because it's brand new for them. And so now every time I'm going to have a play date, I always make sure it's somewhere I've already been before at least
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that there is
That's good.
not that novelty kind of aspect because, yeah, I mean, it's new to us. So obviously we also want to explore it. But yeah, obviously at the same time, we also want to be able to sit down with a coffee and just kind of be like, oh God, I didn't sleep again. It's another 3 hour night. Like, what did you get? And maybe you had an appointment with someone and you're able to say, hey, I spoke to this person and they recommended this. And you're like, oh, I feel great. And I feel seen and I feel heard and I feel part of this. But yeah, the other part of the play date, I guess, it's also that whole thing and damn chats and everything that we're kind of doing. It's that thing that we feel lonely and we feel
Mm.
like so alone in the middle of the night when we're upholding our child, when they're crying or they're teething, or, we have to bottle feed them, breastfeed them, whatever it is, at whatever age group it is. We feel really alone. And I know some people have said, just realize there's another million moms in the world going through the exact same thing in the whole world. Very good, very well taken and noted. But you got to realize in Amsterdam, especially, for example, like there's like a million people say living here. You mightn't realize there's someone living the exact same experience as you on your road. I
Mm.
mean, there are probably like, I don't know, 1,000 neighbors that I can see right out my window here. And there could be a mom here who has like a kid, 6 months earlier or older than my child and is going through the same thing. And she's equally feeling alone. And it's that thing of, we also kind of got to realize that, okay, how do we make these efforts into, yeah, how do we make this work for each other now? And so,
Yeah.
yeah, with playdates, I think we need to kind of alleviate the stress of, I need to make a play date for my child. Equally, I need to make a play date for me. But just to kind of go, okay, we see each other and this not might work out this time, but we can make another one, hopefully,
Exactly.
when those
Yeah.
constellations align yet again.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
my biggest takeaway was really don't go in with any expectations. Be super open and be open to leave after 10 minutes, if it doesn't fly. But the good thing is that I only meet up with people that I really want to spend my time with, and I know that are gonna be okay with if I need to leave after 10 minutes because they know me, they know my child, and they know they don't like get grudgy or whatever. And one thing while we were talking about this, what I was also realizing, playdates are only for like moms. I have never met up with another dad. Yeah, I've never heard my husband say, "Oh, I'm gonna meet up with Eva's husband and we're gonna take the kids out to the park and or we will go to this place and we will have a play date together." And this also adds another layer. I think this whole play date topic is so heavily on the mother. I have then the conversations with my husband when he says, "Why don't you go on a play date?" And I'm like, it's first of all, like 1 in a million chance that I get to find the person that I want to go to and like, with, and that we have the same time slot and it's available. And then it's not as fun, It's not something where I'm like, oh my God, I cannot wait and this is going to be the best time. Playdate usually involves a lot of stress, emotionally, physically, and all that because he doesn't do that. He thinks it's like a nice getaway and I'm going to have a great afternoon, which can be happening and it's amazing if it does. But I'd say out of 10 playdates, probably three are great and I really enjoyed myself and it's a nice time for everyone. But the rest is usually stressful or ends with a tantrum or ends with that, or I was like not talking to the other mom at all because I was just running around or just playing with my child. And then, yeah, that's the whole frustration. It comes in when then my husband says, "Oh, why don't you go on more play dates? Why don't you? Why don't you go on more play dates when it's so fun?"
I think, yeah. So everyone listening, basically the reason why we really wanted to do this quick damn chats episode is we want you to know exactly what Myron just said. You might have to leave after 10 minutes. 20% of your playdates might actually last your whole cup of coffee, that you're actually able to drink a warm cup. Your child might be happy or sad or doesn't want to play, or your other child might like want to share, or, there's all these kind of things. And right now, give yourself grace. And just as Myron said, the people that you're going to spend time with, like make sure these are people that understand you and are okay with a last minute cancellation or a walk out after 10 minutes. Shit's going to happen. And as I said, if you're going somewhere new, try and make sure that you've already been there with your child just to take away the novelty, because then your child wants to share that experience with you, not with a strange kid. And even if you are going out with the same kid and maybe every week you have a play date with the same kid, it doesn't guarantee you a successful play date every time. So whatever age your child is, be it 6 months, be it a year, 18, 24, 36, whatever it might be, just relieve yourself of that stress. That play dates are
Yeah.
the be all and end all. It's a break for mom and it's a great session for child. And it's like, no, it's not. It's not always going to
And
be.
also, yeah, and also keep in mind that your child, like myself, sometimes I am in a mood where I want to see people and I want to be around people and I want to have this conversation and I do want to have this interaction. But then there are so many days where I'm like, I don't want to leave my house. I don't want to talk to anyone. And rightfully so, my child also has these days. And just because I decide today is going to be an amazing day for a play date doesn't mean that they want to go on a play date. And I think that I want to be respectful of that and really check in. Is my child in the mood to socialize or not? And is this the phase to do that right now or not? And that is something, we think, oh, what are they going to do? They're going to play. Yeah, but sometimes they don't want to play and they just want to be home and they just want to be with themselves or with us. Sometimes I think we forget that because we think they always want to play. They always want to see other people. They always want to go new places. They always want to do an adventure.
Experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This whole pressure of we need to expose them. We need to expose them. Like if someone would say this to me the whole day, like, we need Maren, when are you getting your exposure to new things? Maren, when are you going to leave the house? Maren, when are you going to play with your friend? I would be like, yes. Please don't
I
leave my number and never contact me again.
I have to say the experiences thing, I really felt pressured because my daughter was just not really into playing with other kids. Like she just, it was just me and her. We were like our little team. So therefore I relied on these experiences and I felt like I
Yeah.
had to keep doing these brand new experiences time and time and time again until she was probably about 3, I think. She started waking up going, "Where are we going today?"
Okay.
Every morning, she would then wake up with, "Where are we going today? What are we doing today?" And she then started doing this to the point that I think after a few months, myself and my husband were kind of like, huh, maybe we are doing a bit too much with her. So we
Yeah.
started reeling it back. And I would say, today's a home day. We're going to play with art. We're going to read books. We're going to, whatever it is, just go to the park, maybe. But even then, like she was anticipating this fact that I think I was putting pressure on her to actively keep doing stuff because I felt the pressure of I
Yeah.
have to keep stimulating my child. And this is what's expected of me. And it was exhausting.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that. And then when you don't do that, you feel the guilt and it doesn't feel like a conscious decision you make, but it feels like you're failing.
Yeah.
It's like not,
Every day I feel
yeah,
like failing, like for one thing
you
or
know,
another.
doesn't feel like I'm making the conscious decision today. We're staying home. We're enjoying all the stuff that we have at home. We have so much stuff, like you said, arts and crafts, all this, all the toys, all the stuff. And I love being home. I mean, I love my home. I like being there. And then it never felt like a conscious and positive decision, but it felt like we didn't make it out today. We didn't do that today. We didn't go to the park. We didn't do that. It never felt like a positive, oh my God, we had such a great day at home. And I really had to work on that and not beat myself up, but really make the conscious decision. We will spend an amazing day at home. We'll maybe cook something, we'll bake, we'll just read our gazillion books, we'll play with our all that stuff. And that was an amazing day, and everyone was happy. The exposure that we had was with each other and the connection. And that was a big shift that I had to make, not feeling like I failed that day because I didn't do anything. I didn't go outside. I didn't meet up. I didn't book a class. I didn't whatever. Just be in connection with your child at home and enjoy the day.
Yeah, I have to say, I ended up buying a book called No Bones Day. And it's actually and I did not know this, it was actually some Instagram or TikTok pug dog called Noodle. And it was actually written about this actual dog. I was not aware of this. I was just informed of the story was basically a case of this dog loves to go out every day, loves to go sightseeing, goes to the park, hangs outside, just loves it. And one day the dog's just not up for it. And the owner's confused, going like, "What the hell?" And he picks him up, and the dog plops down, and then he's like, "Oh, it's like you have no bones, and so let's just stay in." And so then they started saying, "We have Bones Day and a No Bones Day. Bones days we go out and hang out. No Bones days we kind of laze about, as it would be, without using that negative terminology." So
Yeah.
I got the book because I kind of wanted to introduce this idea of, sometimes we need to just check in with ourselves, and sometimes our body is just like, "Hey, maybe we just stay in and, like you say, we bake, we color, we read, we." Play with a sand pit or whatever it might be at home. Yeah, so that book for me was just something that I kind of thought maybe that might help my daughter kind of understand something. I use books quite a lot that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, for us, I think we're just gonna wrap it up here and let you guys know we're in the same boat. Please don't put pressure on yourselves. Please don't put any high expectations. Everyone should really understand each other in this moment of last minute cancellation, 10 minute after cancellation, whatever it is. Go easy on yourself. Put a little bit less pressure on your child as well. And
Yeah, and if you want to hear more from our amazing experts that we have on every Wednesday, we release an episode with an expert about a topic that we pick. And every other Monday, we have a damn chat like today, where Eva and I are just happily chatting about what's going on in our lives, what happened this week, or any topic that we thought needs a little more discussion. If you want to support us, please make sure you follow us on Spotify, social media, on Instagram, Damn Parenting Podcast, also Apple Podcasts. We are also on YouTube. Make sure you activate the bell so you get a notification when we drop a new episode. Give us 5 dazzling stars so people get to see our content. And of course, share and like this episode. And then we will hear you next Wednesday with a new expert episode. Till then, bye.
bye.